Hey everyone, and welcome to today's session of Sales Made Simple. Simple business tutorials designed for women entrepreneurs to help you navigate in the journey of entrepreneurship, translating your skills into sales, translating your expertise into clients who love what you do, understand your offers, and buy them. As a nurse turned entrepreneur, I navigated the early stages of my entrepreneurship, trying to explain and trying to really give value and wondering why people don't buy. I tried everything, I tried different strategies, and only to realize that having expertise in my field didn't automatically translate into paying clients. And this is why I'm so committed to helping other highly skilled women entrepreneurs in health and well-being learning the skills and having the tools to translate their expertise into consistent client flow without the hassle, without the burnout, without feeling what's wrong with me? Why can't I sell? And today's session, we're diving in exactly that. Why people don't buy even when you are the perfect fit. Because let's be honest, you have worked so hard. You've got the qualifications, you've got the expertise, you've got the skills. So we just need to get that expertise and skills positioned in such way that people get it. Because there's a saying in business that says that confused people don't buy. And often in our desire to explain more, give more, serve more, we get confused with the way you position ourselves and clients don't see the value that we bring. So why people don't buy? And it's not what you think. Often we have the passion to help people and we know what value we bring, but we get stuck in this perpetual circle of trying to explain and trying to persuade clients. Often we feel they're my ideal client, they should see the value. But in reality, that is hard to achieve simply because of how we approach sales. Today, I want to share with you 6 pillars that underpin the structure and the designing the demand and the structure so that you get clients on demand. And I'm not going to be talking about complicated funnels or systems. I'm going to be talking about 6 core principles that every business should have. And you'll be able to see from today's session what is it that you have already existing in your business right now, or what is it that you might need to focus and you might need to explore further. So let's dive in. Pillar number 1 is something very simple but very crucial: your positioning, the clarity of your positioning in the market. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, what the market thinks you do versus what you mean to sell. Often there is a misalignment there in the way we position and say what we do. How clear is that for the person that's listening? And I have a quick test for this. I call it the face test. If you're to share with a stranger what you do, would they be able straight away to think of someone that your service might be suitable for? Maybe you are a nutritionist, maybe you are a coach or specialist in certain area. Would your pitch, would your explanation and positioning be clear enough for the person who hears you, maybe in a networking event, maybe in a cafe that you're sharing? Would they be able to have immediate understanding and think of someone? Does it pass the face test, or you need to carry on explaining what is it that you do? And this is really important because you need to really focus on, is the outcome immediately obvious for the person listening, not for you, not for your friends, but for someone who is new to your world, who's just heard you or met you? And is the offer differentiated from everyone else? Would a stranger know who is this for in 5 seconds? So next time you are sharing your offer, you're at networking event, actually ask yourself, does this pitch or does this positioning carries the clarity that can pass the face test? Try it with a stranger, see what the reaction is. Because common symptom here is people say it sounds great, but then disappear. They don't actually understand what is it that the value of your offer. They haven't got that clarity. Pillar number 2 is buyer readiness. Because here If you misalign that much of your offer with how ready the market is really then going to lead you to that convincing and that chasing. Matches the offer, align how ready the buyer actually is. And are you selling a high commitment offer to low awareness buyers? Are you expecting fast decisions without building a belief, without building the know, like, and trust factor? Are you pitching to a cold audience, or have you developed that process and pathway for your client's journey? And maybe you're asking yourself, is the price wrong or the timing wrong? Well, this all depends on how you've positioned your offer and do you have that buyer readiness. Common symptom here, you'll see lots of interest, but very few decisions. People might speak to you, people might come to your workshops, people might engage with you, but there's no, when it comes to the decision making, you have not aligned the timing to the right audience. It's just a quick check to see if this is what you're experiencing as a symptom. It really can just be that buyer readiness and the client journey you have set up at the moment. Number three, the third pillar is offer architecture. So here we're looking at what you're actually selling versus what the buyer thinks they're buying. What's included in your offer? Is this a service, a solution, transformation, or support? Is the value tangible or abstract? And is the outcome measurable? What's in it for them? Often I hear or see programs, events, campaigns, or coaching programs, or sometimes even retreats. I review business offers that are to do with high ticketed program, and there's just so much value, but just the way the offer is architectured doesn't convey, doesn't translate that value for the client. They don't see the measured outcome, they don't see what's in it for them. And often those high ticket programs are so valuable, but they're misunderstood and they don't sell because of that offer architecture. Often those offers, when I do the audits, they sound like a list of ingredients that someone is put together for what people will get, instead of the actual delicious cake. People want the cake. They don't want to have to go and figure it out with the trial and error, do the shopping themselves for the ingredients, get to do it themselves to get the cake. And often we have the cake for them, but the way you put the architecture in the offer, it sounds like it's just a shopping list of expensive ingredients. Common symptom here is you're just wondering and guessing and really frustrating, asking the question, I'm great at what I do, but why is it so hard? It's hard to explain, or it's hard the other person to see the value. Pillar number four is your sales pathway design. This is where we look at how someone moves from interest, you signaling that interest to your audience. They are raising their hand, they have the interest, to decision. And between interest and decision, there's a lot of other micro steps in that journey. Is there a clear next step so that you can take people from interest to one step closer to the decision? Are people jumping straight to one-to-one with you without warming up? Is there a process that you have designed? And is the decision process heavy or unclear? This is the sales pathway. Sales is so important, and often is people avoid it. I speak to women in health and well-being all the time, and they avoid the topic, the subject about sales, simply because they think they need to do all the heavy lifting during the call, during the conversations, during the discovery calls or explorations. They need to do the persuading, which feels cringy, feels salesy, it feels uncomfortable. And that's true only if you have allowed that call to be the only space and time where you build that uh, the trust. There hasn't been a clear process before that to build them, prepare them, or qualify them, or semi-qualify them for the conversation. Common symptom here, people need to think about it and they never come back simply because they haven't been put through the process. A sales pathway designed specifically for your offer. Next important pillar for getting people to say yes in an authentic, genuine way is having a trust infrastructure. What trust infrastructure means is that there is a study that proven that it takes up to 7 hours of people having spending time with you, maybe consuming your content, meeting you in person, attending an event, networking, around 11 touch points and four different platforms, four different places that they get together with you or they get to come into your world. So this is really the time that takes to build trust. So when it comes to your offer and trying to get clients to say yes, what reassures the buyer before they speak to you? Have you allowed that? Have you built that a 7-Eleven force structure? Have you got that design in your business so that people get time to get to know you, get to see proof, get to hear your positioning, get to feel your credibility, get the authority signals, have the consistency across on your message of across your platforms, across your posts and across your content? And are you relying on conversation to build trust that should exist beforehand? Because if you wait for that moment, you do a lot of heavy lifting, you do a lot of work just to get on a call, and there hasn't been that pre-warmed up or pre-qualified conversation or pathway, rather not conversation, before the conversation you haven't had that pathway for the person to warm up to come pre-qualified for that call. Often this equals frustration, wasted time for you, for the client, potential client, and ultimately you lose the opportunity to serve them and you lose the opportunity to get a client. Common symptom here is calls feel like convincing. It's difficult and they don't flow as easy because it just feels like you have to persuade and explain and convince. And last one, last pillar, but really, really important. This is where everything comes together, is the back end alignment. And what does this mean without getting into much jargon? This is where you look at actually building a system or designing a system where everything plugs in. All of the things we talk about, the sales, the offer, the positioning, the clarity of all your offers, everything comes together in an alignment, and you are supported by tools and systems that do the work for you so that you can actually build a pipeline that is forever working for you while you're working with your clients, which ultimately makes your business work. So this is whether the system supports consistency. Do you have a system that supports consistency? Do you have a system that generates leads? Because without leads, without having people interested in your business, without having that structure to continuously have a flow of clients coming into your world, not with just you chasing, not with you just trying manually to outreach to people, but a system that does that for you to generate the lead flow and have the follow-up offers that match demand, the alignment we spoke earlier, then this is what is really needed to match and distinguish between one-off selling versus a designed conversation. Common symptom here, you'll probably wonder, every month feels like starting again. And this is where it's heavy. This is where it takes a lot of your time. And this is where you feel like it's just not getting you the results that your business needs, and it's exhausting and feels like pushing and pulling instead of having that flow. If this training has given you the value, has given you something to think about and reflect, please like this channel, follow up for more free content, and wait for the next one coming up. And we'll be tuning in exactly on this topic again, how to make your clients start following you and being attracted to you rather than you chasing them.